2 words, Mom. Capital H. That was the one-liner that I couldn't think of up until like this point for the last line from the trailer. You know, he told me I'd be fine. Who told you you'd be fine? 2 words, capital H. Okay. So, we just saw the movie that apparently we just had to see, and that was Miracles from Heaven. And I'm not sure what to think exactly just yet. I'm still trying to find out about how much of this really happened. I mean, I'm sure, like, the basic premise, I'm sure, did happen, but...
They even showed, like, the family, and it's not like one of those other, you know, sorry. It's not like one of those others, oh, what happened to them later. It's like one of those home video sort of things, you know? Like at the end of the film. Yeah.
Yeah. So, there were some things that did bug me. One in particular is the same thing that bugged me about Heaven is for Real, and that is the fact that it shows the kid in heaven.
And it was a very generic heaven.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen some creative heavens before, and now that was just like the standard, you know? Like,
yeah.
Like, the most creative heaven I've ever seen is from the show Supernatural. And if anyone else has seen, it's like, in one episode, both the characters, Sam and Dean, are killed, and they go to heaven. And heaven, it turns out, is... everyone gets their own heaven. There's no... it's not mixed together. Well, sometimes. Instead of that, soulmates do get, like, their own heaven together. And heaven is actually all of the most pleasant memories. All of the greatest experiences of your life. You get to relive them over and over again. And that is just so brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's the whole life flashing before your eyes thing.
So in the case of, like, this movie and Heaven is for Real, they really should, like, have the kid describe what they can, and you know, leave the rest open to your imagination, because really no one knows exactly what heaven looks like. The Heaven and Heaven is for Real and this look different, so that kind of makes me think that I don't think people really do experience heaven in the flesh, or in the... well, yeah, I'm sure you don't, because your soul ascends to heaven, not your flesh, so... okay.
Correct.
Yeah. And so... I kind of... I'm really not sure what to think. I mean, God works in mysterious ways, but I kind of think maybe in the cases where this happens, because there have been more than just these 2 cases of someone claiming that they've had an out-of-body experience while being unconscious and experiencing heaven, and
also the fact that they had like some like irreversible bodily whatever, and just being healed like that.
Yeah.
Which in the movie they do actually kind of explain it, like a system reboot. And you know what? I buy it, because the human body is actually quite resilient.
Yeah.
No.
And so the reason that I don't, before someone's life is truly over, I mean, again, God works in mysterious ways, but it doesn't really make sense in my mind for Jesus to make himself appear before a person before their life is truly over.
He'll probably send like Michael or Raphael or someone.
I don't know. Yeah. And so if we actually see Jesus, like, even in this world, like, see him just appear before us, which he could do, but the reason that he doesn't is because your life is a test. It's a test of faith, so for Jesus to just appear like that before you, it's there's not really much point in you living here anymore.
That reminds me from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy at one point in the book, you know what the babblefish is? It's this creature that you stick in your ear, and it feeds on your brain waves, and in return, it allows you to understand any form of language spoken. And so it states that people take this as the inevitable proof that God does not exist. And they even go through this whole thing about God and man. But God says, oh, if I prove I exist, no one will have faith, and thus I don't. And man goes, well, then there's the babelfish that evolved this ability by chance. That means God does exist, and therefore he doesn't. And God goes, oh, I did not think of that, and just poofs away in a puff of logic. I know it's not the exact thing.
Yeah.
But it's really funny. And it's sort of along, I know it's like really out there, but there is some relevance. And I'm not, okay, so what I want to say is that I enjoyed this movie much more than I did.
Yeah.
Than I thought I was, but not in terms of like Straight Out of Compton or other films that are come into this category.
Yeah.
Because you know me, I'm not religious. I don't really have any faith, but I'm not that sort of person who mocks people who do. Like, yeah. To each his own. And movie-wise, it's good. But my favorite parts are Dr. yeah, he was
Dr. Nerkio, something like that. The guy who sounds like Darkwing Duck.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
No, Jim Cummings is Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, he was definitely the best character in this movie.
Yeah, he is. See,
but here's something I noticed, that actors who, like, some of the actors, they would show brief emotions, but when the focus is off them, they show like totally different reactions. Like, okay, when Anna first falls down the tree and Abby's just panicking, like, yeah. She's like totally scared something happened to her sister, but then later on when you see the family, she's just leaning on the car like nothing's happened, you know?
Okay.
Like, yeah. You expect her to be huddled with her family, but she's just off going, oh, when is it? And her body and her posture is like, oh, when is this going to end? Like, and okay. The doctor too, you sort of see him, and there's this really sad look on his face. Like there's this, like, I may be reaching, but I think he's like suffered something. Like every time the camera pans him, there's this really tragic look on his face. You get what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like he's happy, but there's something else. Yeah. And I brought this up in the movie. I was thinking that the ultimate irony would be that he is a pediatrician, but he can't have kids on his own. Like, that would be very tragic for someone like that.
Yeah. So, I kind of thought that this movie was going to be, like, really, really over sentimental and really over preachy. There were a few times where it kind of is, but not to the extent that I thought.
When she's confronted by those three in the church, like, how could, what?
Yeah, they would have had to have been kind of new to the faith, because anyone who's been in the faith long enough knows that God doesn't let bad things happen to you for punishment. And of course that leads to Christy Beam talking to her pastor about why bad things happen to good people, which is a subject that seems to come up quite a lot in these Christian movies.
Yeah. And no one really has an answer.
Yeah.
You know? Like at near the end when the father of that one girl who died, I expected him to just get angry and to go, "Oh, why did my daughter die and yours live?" But no, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He just, oh, that was probably one of the best moments in the movie for me.
Yeah, I think that was the strongest moment in the movie.
And he thanks Anna and her mother for bringing light to the final months of his daughter's life, and that was just so powerful. And he even states that he's not religious.
Yeah. So there are a few other things that I don't really buy, though. One, I kind of had to laugh at the end where the pastor says, the church has never been this crowded before. Really? When you have a big-named band like Third Day leading worship at a small-town church?
No, I'll say that.
Yeah. Third Day are a really famous Christian band. And
I wouldn't know, I'm not.
Yeah. And what was with that scene after the aquarium? We see Christy, Anna, and Queen Latifah's character. It's kind of funny. One of her employees in the movie jokingly refers to her as Your Highness. Yeah. And so the three of them are sitting on a bench looking at like this watercolor painting of fish. The girl steps forward, and it just kind of fades back and forth.
When you see her in heaven and she goes to that pond, the pond sort of looks like that water painting.
Yeah.
Sort of
So she already has a connection with heaven before even going there. I mean, at least Colton Burpo seems to know everything about heaven. Have you seen like that guy who, obviously it's Colton Burpo, kind of a weird last name. He's
one of the Marx Brothers.
Yeah, he was the kid who.
Oh my God, he's the
He's the
lost Marx brother.
Yeah. So his story is told in the movie Heaven is for Real, and apparently some guy has taken his name on Twitter and he's been writing all these ridiculous statements about heaven, like, in heaven, the American flag is the only flag that's allowed to be raised as high as the heaven flag.
What would the heaven flag look like? Which brings up the obvious question, what's the heaven flag? See, boom!
Yeah. Alright, so... I'd say this movie is mostly kind of a hit and miss for me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for me too.
The other thing that kind of bugged me was the voiceover. I mean, it begins and ends with voiceover, and actually the voiceover at the end is remarkably short. And you take that out, we still kind of get the message about what miracles are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing I liked about this was that nobody really got angry. They were like the doctors. Like I said, people tend to get angry at doctors for when they fail, but I don't think they realize that like doctors, probably pediatricians more when they fail, that their self-guilt for this happening is probably much greater, you know? Because they know all of this. They know what's happening, but when their patient dies, can you even imagine what they go through? Like when they can't help?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Collide? The song that they used during the
plane ride. Wow. Not the best song to be, especially at that moment.
Well, it fit in that scene about as well as Fight Song fit in the trailer.
True.
So, there are often times in like these independent films. Actually, this isn't entirely independent because it has Sony. It's done by Affirm Films, which is like
It's done by Columbia, I thought.
well, yeah, Sony and Columbia, and Affirm Films, which is like Sony's Christian company. I mean, they worked on Risen, Heaven is for Real, and also War Room.
Oh, War Room. And you know what? This wasn't as heavy on the religious thing as War Room.
Yeah, certainly not.
And okay, I wanna remember. Do you remember that moment in the at the end, like the father? And it made me wonder. Even though if God can do all these, what if he can't do them all at the same time? Like, he had to make a choice between Anna or Hillary. Haley, sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he can't, like, maybe that's why these bad things happen, because he himself has to make a choice whether to let this happen and what will come of it. You know?
Well, yeah. Well, I wouldn't say it's exactly a choice. I mean, it's not like he had to like choose between the two girls. He could have healed them both. But
I'm just saying,
people often find that it's at hard times where they find their faith is strongest. I mean, it's like that.
The true character of a person is revealed during the worst of times.
Yeah.
You know.
It's like that C.S. Lewis quote. He says, "God whispers to us in our pleasures. He speaks in our conscience, but he shouts in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world." Yeah.
I mean, that just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Like,
and even greater things can come out of just one hard time. I mean, I kind of have to think about Job's story. I don't think anyone has gone through as much suffering as Job did. I mean, he lost all of his children, all of his property, but he still held on to his integrity. Even his wife said, "Curse God and die." And God restored it all in the end, and I can only imagine that Job can look back on that experience now and think, wow, my story has inspired so many people to hold on to their faith even in the hardest of times.
well, he's probably doing something else right now. In heaven, he's probably doing something else.
Yeah. Well, who knows?
Because he certainly earned his ticket in.
Yeah.
I wonder if the faithful suffer in life and they hold on to their faith, and when they get to heaven, God just goes, "Okay, I'm sorry, into heaven you go."
I doubt it. Okay. Well, we've been talking more about that than about the actual movie.
Yes.
So, but
well, there's not much left to talk about the movie.
Yeah.
Also, I thought this was going to be another like message in War Room, how, oh, God is just going to fix everything for you.
Yeah.
Like,
we don't need to take Anna to the hospital. We just need to pray, and all that. Yeah. You still got to take some matters into your own hands. I mean, prayer is effective, as the Bible says, but yeah. Right,
but you still have to do something.
Yeah.
You know.
So I think I'd give this movie a slight recommendation. Maybe a B-.
If there's nothing else.
Yeah.
If there's nothing else, I'd say that I'm giving this like I didn't enjoy it that much, but I didn't hate it. So I'm gonna give this like C. Solid
Okay.
C.
Yeah. I did hear that Jennifer Garner has actually been finding faith through this movie. I heard like her talking on Spiro 1053.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, so we don't have any new trailers.
Nope.
So I guess we just got to go beyond the wall now.
With
Allegiant. Yeah.